My name is Jorgen. It's also written on my rash card if you could forget. I'm from Estonia, like Fried, but not from the same Estonia, or I'm not the same species, so people tell me. So I'm from the southern part. It's kind of the other big gym, BJJ gym than Fried's, but we're on good terms. Like we've always we started together, we trained both together. So that's that. So the class is on upper body wrestling, specifically for no-gi BJJ. It doesn't apply when you're wearing a gi, or at least you need to adjust, because when you do stand-up with gi, you have the collar grip, which is a game changer. Like it doesn't translate to no-gi. And the thing about no-gi BJJ is that its stand-up game is most similar to freestyle or folk style wrestling, because you're allowed to go below the waist, right? Which is the difference with Greco. So I want to make sure, like, how many of you have wrestled as a kid or wrestled competitively? So one. Good. I'm with the rest of you. I started martial combat stuff properly when I was 20. So it's been 18 years. But I understood that wrestling was kind of important, and I also tried to train wrestling. But whereas I took it fairly, like it was pretty okay for me, because previous to doing BJJ and MMA and kind of proper martial arts, previous to that I did Aikido, and that was useless for the most of it, but it taught me how to break fall. So I could start training wrestling pretty hard, being thrown all the time, and it didn't break me. But that's the thing with teaching wrestling for adults, is that I think it should be done fundamentally different than how it's taught to children. Because with the kids, like, their mass is small, center of gravity is low, so they can take hundreds and hundreds of falls and bounce right back up. So if you see like a kids wrestling program, or how people start to teach kids, it's they learn technique. They learn a throw, takedown, and then they do like hundreds of reps of that, falling down, getting up, and then they spar. They kind of figure it out themselves. Of course, they learn a little bit of pummeling and that stuff as well, but it's mostly like the finishing techniques. But when adults start to learn like that, who have started in their like 20s, 30s, or 40s or later, what happens is that it's either too hard and they drop out. Like this happened in my gym. Like we had good retention with our kickboxing program, we had good retention with our BJJ program. Wrestling classes, wrestling program, or MMA plus wrestling had the worst retention. Because a lot of people dropped out because it was too hard physically, and a lot of people dropped out because they got injured. So this was something that I tried to solve for about like 15 years. And I think, at least for me and my gym, I solved it about 3 or 4 years ago. And now we have like a set of about 8 to 10 wrestling classes, which we do and which work out great. Like people don't get injured, and they at the same time seem to get the hang of it. How many of you by chance have seen my All the Takedowns You Ever Need to Know class, which is in Gloater in Action? Not many. So these two classes go really well together, so go and watch that. Like they're both kind of part of the program. Let's get started. Who wants to be okay? Yeah, go ahead. So basically, we'll start with a kind of the basic wrist fighting, what you've probably done. Just kind of start to grapple with grabbing each other's wrists to kind of get accustomed to that. But think about that you try to be more in the stance that you're gonna be in no-gi BJJ. Because if you just do wrist fighting, you are gonna start to stand up, because it's kind of better to wrist fight here, right? Whereas in reality, like in no-gi BJJ, we are gonna do it like this, because otherwise the legs are too easily accessible. So be like bent from the waist a little bit, keep your head high, and do the wrist thing. So when he grabs my wrist, the general rule is that I grab his wrist and I free my wrist towards the direction of the thumb. So I kind of turn and go in with my elbow and then maybe grab that. If we both have a grip, well, whoever loses theirs first, and if he grabs with 2 arms, for example, then I kind of try to strip it, and then the other. So you just kind of get warm 1 minute like that. Like really easy wrist fighting. Don't take like the grip of death, right? So, okay, a minute for that, go. Okay, stop. That's enough. We'll move from here. So in general, like the thing what is different about, for example, like what is different about the jiu-jitsu and stand-up wrestling is that in jiu-jitsu the positions are asymmetrical. Like it's not the same position for side mount top and side mount bottom. They kind of, what you want to do is fundamentally different. And that's also like, people like to say that, oh, like guard is just wrestling. I don't totally, like it's just the concept I use is that there are a lot of similarities, but it's asymmetrical. Like the bottom person in guard, I'm teaching guard by the way tomorrow, so I'm teaching how to wrestle from the guard. And that class works together with this one as well. So in guard, on bottom guard, your advantage is that you can use all four limbs. You're kind of already on the ground, you can use all four limbs. The top person, for him, it's kind of similar to wrestling, or at least it's on the mat wrestling. They can use gravity, but they need their legs to stand on, right? So it's asymmetrical positions. In stand-up wrestling, we're wrestling symmetrical. And neither of us has the advantage of gravity. So that's why you don't have like positions in stand-up wrestling. Of course you can take like, oh, like here is an underhook, like this is an underhook, and now we're going to do stuff from the underhook. But if you teach it this way, what happens most often is that kind of, I want to go like, for example, I know like a hip throw or something, but when I have learned the mechanics of the hip throw and I try to do it on a at least semi-resisting opponent, what happens is that I try to go for my hip throw, but he, for example, takes an overhook or takes an underhook on the other side, and kind of, you don't succeed with kind of going with more resistance in stand-up grappling. So if you want to learn stand-up grappling, at least in the first bit, or I would say it's even for the advanced bit, you need to lightly wrestle a lot. And I think you even need to kind of do off the resistance. You need to train in a way that grants you success. So you need to do this type of light wrestling. You see, like, for example, the Russian school of wrestling do a lot. Yeah, so off the wrists. We do have like control points, which kind of also Christian mentioned. Like there's the area around the legs, which obviously if I grab a leg, then I control the legs. But it's also if I insert my foot, like the leg here, it's kind of like control the space. But if you kind of bend the knee in, like the adjustments are really subtle, because now he controls the space. So it's not like a position that is fixed, but it's like a game of inches, right? You have the leg area, that's like one part. You have the hip area, that's the second part. Then you have basically the shoulder to the wrist, and then you have the neck, right? And we're actually going to work most today off the biceps tie and the necktie. And why that is that in setting where grabbing the legs is allowed, you see that's the most used tie. Like you see that in folk style wrestling, freestyle wrestling. You don't see that much in Greco, because in Greco you're not allowed to grab the legs. And it's the same it's also the same in like Nogi BJJ. I do not actually recommend to dig for underhooks unless you know that you're better in the underhook game than your opponent. So what we're going to do today, and this is actually like a good tip to think about, if you're the lesser wrestler, you have like a Greco guy against you, you can stall them and kind of ruin their game by not going into the underhooks game at all. So for example, if you discover you kind of go for an underhook, take it out, go for a biceps tie. Or take it out, go for a wrist. And now for the wrist control, really important concept about today is that I'm thinking about always keeping my elbows more inside than his elbows. So it's relational. So it doesn't, I don't need to keep my elbows all the time like this, because for example, if his elbow is here, like my elbow is, this position is fine, because my elbow is more closer to his center than he's kind of like, oh, or I could then go here, right? So I always want to pay attention to the position of the elbow, whatever grips I take. And this is actually a really important principle also in Nogi guard. Sit down for a second. Is that really commonly people start to guard, you go to guard, you grab the wrist, right? You grab the wrist. And I don't mind too much, because check out the position of our elbows. If he grabs my wrist this way, I will just start to pressure. right? Ideally, I might start in, and he needs to react to that because it's kind of shitty. But if he takes the other way grip, like yes, like that, then kind of he can manipulate in a way that my elbow is on the outside, and I might be able to turn, but so think about that. Stand up. So we're going to practice going off the wrist. We're going to practice now going to the biceps tie and the necktie. So biceps tie, really important. You go over as much as you can, and you put your elbow to the inside. That's your basic biceps tie. Okay, maybe it should be called triceps tie, but okay, whatever. So that's the position. And you can have biceps tie, and obviously you can have both biceps. And I think it's also kind of underused in MMA currently, because you see Muay Thai fighters use it a lot. Only they use it standing because you're allowed to knee and that stuff. So let's play like that. So we start off like grabbing the wrists, and you're gonna play with the wrists for like 1, 2, maybe 3 like turns, so to say. And then you take turns of taking a double biceps tie. So let's say it's my turn, so I'm kind of the one who needs to have success. So he can grab my wrists, so I will free it, I will free this one, and then I will try to take the biceps tie, and he will let me take the biceps tie because it's my turn. And I will grab the other biceps tie, and now I will try to use the biceps tie to manipulate him around a little bit. So you pull, you push, you turn, and you do that for like 2-3 seconds. And what you do then is that you kind of disengage, and now it's his turn. So I can grab the wrists, he will try to find a way to do the biceps tie. And he will take double biceps, and he will move me around a little bit, yes, like that. And now it's my turn. So you go biceps tie, move a little, turn by turn. So let's do that. Go. Touching your elbow, like let's move a little bit so it looks natural. And think about touching my elbow, this collarbone, and then grabbing the necktie. And now this is a cheat code against wrestlers, because double necktie is not allowed in wrestling styles. in most wrestling styles. You cannot attack very well off that, but if you're facing a superior wrestler, you can hang off their neck a little bit and kind of annoy them, right? If you're facing a super superior wrestler, you're going to pull guard anyway. Because like, what else are you going to do? But we're not training for skill discrepancy. That's also the thing why actually I'm not going to teach throws, because throws, when wrestling is your side gig, throws take a huge time to learn, they take huge toll on your body, and kind of then the opponent pulls guard. So I think it's better to do some stuff we do today, but play with the ties, and double necktie actually it neutralizes a lot of throws that are available in no-gi especially, right? And it also like neutralizes nicely going to the legs, because I already have frames, right? He can try to grab my legs, go for a takedown, go for a takedown. And it's just not going to happen because my frames are already in place. So now we get 3 variations. Actually 4, we're going to get 4 variations of a grip I can have, or 3.5. We have the double biceps, which you need a lot, right? We have the double necktie, which use the least, because that's the least offensive. That's kind of the stalling position. And what's good thing is that always from double necktie, I can go necktie and biceps tie. And that's actually what I'm going to use the most and what is used the most. So I try to manipulate him with this. I can go here, switch to that side. I can go double biceps. Use my head if it's double biceps, or if it's like this, I can also do this. No point in putting double usually, but you can try that as well. But it's like double control doesn't do as much as this. So, double biceps, necktie, mind the elbow against the collarbone, and use going from one side to the other side. Usually I usually do actually move both of my arms at the same time. So it's not like 1, 2, I can do that as well, but it's kind of like pulling on one side, boom, and re-pummel here. Again, take turns in who is doing the active moving, right? So let's say it's my turn. I try to get some kind of grip, and then I try to remember, Jorgen talked about biceps and necktie. That works. Double neck, other side, double biceps. Okay, I'm good. Now he goes. Like in 5 to 10 second bursts, switch. Okay? Let's go. So let's move ahead. So now we're getting. Let's do one short, like a flow pummeling resistance drill. So the objective of both of you, now you're both going to do it, is to get a dominant control position. Like it's either double necktie, but use that the least. If you get to double necktie, move into some kind of a biceps variation. Double biceps on either side, collar and biceps. And you try to, like you would slow roll, kind of try to pummel slowly. You can occasionally grab a wrist, because this also happens, right? For example, he grabs my biceps, I grab my biceps, and I don't have like access here, he puts the elbow in. Maybe I can get the wrist first, switch maybe to the neck, get the biceps on the other side, right? So it's about all the area, but we're mostly playing wrist and biceps, or wrist and elbow. I'm going to show a few variations later, and not go into the underhook game. Because as I said, like for the underhook game, like do the underhook game only when you know that you're better at Greco than your opponent. Because otherwise, when you don't know, there's a chance that they're gonna throw you in some strange way at very high altitude. If you go into the underhooks game, it might be a trap. Like for example, the classic is kind of for jiu-jitsu guys when they go against a good wrestler, you kind of put in a half-assed underhook and they will go for a like a Iponsian knockdown, like that, right? Or like any other type of hip throw. So underhook might be a bait. Also, when they underhook you, you're facing a superior underhook grappler, retreat to the biceps tie. If you do it early enough, that works super well. You can, like, if you go against like a Greco guy who has done Greco for like maybe 5-10 years, you can neutralize them with the biceps tie, because when they start to come for underhooks, you just go necktie and kind of put your biceps tie in, and they might be kind of off their game a little bit. So, with resistance, so we start from here, a little bit of like wrist grappling, and we both try to get good positions. He tries to get biceps tie me, try to get the biceps tie. I'm like, oh shit, what I need to do? Let's say biceps tie here. And he tries to pummel for the position. Now we move the underhook, right? With the biceps tie, if you put an underhook in, retreat and get a biceps tie. So if you're used to doing underhooks, get used to also removing underhooks and fighting for neck and biceps, right? So you like flow pummeling, let's say. Okay? And go. This is something that you can do for like this type of pummeling, getting control, doing it sometimes with taking turns, and sometimes like competitively or semi-competitively. Super good warm-up training. Low impact, weight difference doesn't really matter if the resistance is adjusted, right? Because I'm also trying to like, in my classes I always try to inspire also thinking about how to coach. And it's not only for coaches, but you're always the most important coach for yourself. And that's one of kind of the speed tracks, how to get better in jiu-jitsu. Like one way obviously is the athlete way. You have a coach, an external coach who does their programs and tells you to train this and this super hard. And you invest a lot of hours and obviously you get good. But if you don't have like the resources of a full-time athlete and like a dedicated external coach, a really good addition to your 3 or 2 or 4 classes per week, what you're doing is to, even if you're not literally coaching anybody, maybe just a training partner at open mat, think about how you would coach people, how you would make other people and yourself better. That's like a fast track, because that's what you can also do when you're standing in line at a cash register or something like that. So think about how to teach, and not only about it. It's a good trick to not only think about how I'm doing stuff and what I need to do here, but think about more generally. Like, how would I teach it to other people? How would I teach it to my grandma, whoever? Okay, so now we're going to get into what we're actually going to do from here. And ideally, I'm actually wanting to go to the legs most of the time. Because if you watch my All the Takedowns You Ever Need class in Globetrotters in Action, then you get what ties in with that material. But today, we're going to do just upper body. What are the most basic things about upper body? So I need to get closer to do stuff to him. Or I need to get better control over his body, because kind of I can't throw somebody with just the biceps tie or biceps and neck unless they have bad balance and I have very superior timing. So what's the problem? Why can't I throw him? Why can't I get a better control of his body? It's his arms. Usually his arms in some way are blocking me, and the distance to his rest of the body is like enlarging by his posture. So even I might have a control, but I can yank him and move him around with a position, but I can't like throw him straight away. Because his arms are the problem. Because if I just let go and try to grab the legs, like he will get in his arms in the way. And in regards to the arms, just like in guard passing, you can conceptualize that you can pass the legs in three principal ways. You can pass over the legs, you can pass around the legs, and you can pass under the legs. Right? That's one way to think about guard passing. In regards to the arms that are blocking me, I can go under the arms, I can go over the arms, and I can go around the arms. So that's the three things that we're actually going to do from here. And we'll start with under the arms. And for going under the arms, I need to have at least one biceps tie. So it's either biceps and neck, and my head is on this side, usually it's in the pocket. Or if it's double biceps, I also try to put the head in the pocket. If it doesn't allow me to put the head in the pocket, then we're kind of forehead to forehead, right? And it's always good to move him a little bit. And how do I get under the arms? I need to get under both arms. I need to get under this arm, where the side where my head is on. So that's the wrestling technique called duck under, if you want to look it up in YouTube. But I try to set it up in the way that I'm pushing, pulling. I don't want his head in the pocket. And usually I want him to rise up a little bit. So it's always, in general, like if he's lower than me, then it's harder to go under, right? But as we're learning that for now, what you can do, does anybody have an idea? What can I do to make him want to go higher? Yes, I can pull, and this is going to be the next thing. So I will pull, and he's kind of like, I will pull, and he's kind of starts to raise his head. Don't be too janky with that, just tell them to go a little bit higher. So I pull, I raise them up, and now what I do is that I do with this arm, I kind of think about lifting his elbow behind my back. And I squat down, and I go under the armpit. Depending on the position, I usually try to step with my outside leg. If my legs are this way, I'm going to go like this, if I'm like this, I'm going to go like this. So what happens is that I pull, and now I kind of lift him up, and I want to put this in the back of my head. So I have a necktie here, and now what I want to do is that I want to immediately attach my ear and my chin to his back. So I'm going to do that. And I also, the best way is to grab the far hip for now. So think about grabbing the far hip for now. So, pull, and then duck under. Here, and now I can pull some more, grab the far hip, and now you can decide what you want to do. Like the most standard is that I get a double waist lock. So, and then put your, either your, like the side of your head or your chin onto his back or your forehead, and move him around a little bit. No throws right now. Like you can figure out whatever to play from there. You just try to get to their back. Double biceps, also the same thing. Kind of pull, and now Here went immediately, now goes the chin. I still keep the grip, whatever grip I have here, and then put my hips close and grab the arms. Lock my arms. This grip, gable grip, but you can take other grips, just not this grip. That grip sucks, that's not used. Okay, take turns in going like, you get a dominant position, I don't know, it's double necktie, I can't go from here. So I go necktie and biceps, head, pull, duck under, immediately raise yourself up here, and go behind. Okay, and then it's his turn. Go! So, time, that's enough. We're actually going to put stuff together really soon because like that's how it's going to work, because we're obviously already saw that the snap down and the duck under work perfectly together. When grabbing the legs is allowed, and then you can even kind of, if your reflex tells you to, you can also grab a leg from the duck under. It's when I'm doing the duck under, and I pull, and I go here, I can also go here or here, doesn't matter. Just don't take anybody down today. Like, you grab the legs, let the legs go, you can grab the body lock or whatever. Important thing which I saw in some pairs is that when you have some kind of a advantage over the opponent in stand-up grappling, it's not going to last. Like, any kind of like a controlled position has a very short shelf life. Therefore, I want to use it maximally to my advantage, and I always want to be the one off-balancing him at all times. So what I saw, I'll illustrate, is that this was nice. You're off-balancing here, like you did the pull, and then you did the duck under, and that was more or less all right, but then it was like this. So you moved around him, letting him stand, basically. But if I do it like this, he's going to recover. He's going to turn around or whatever. So what I actually want to do is that when I do my duck under, I'm also off-balancing in here, and I'm connecting my head. Now I'm pushing, and I'm grabbing that, and I'm moving, and moving, and moving, and now I'm here, and I'm moving. So I'm always moving him, attached to him. Always, always, always. Because the moment I allow him to regain composure, the shelf life of my control position ends. Okay, it goes sour. So now step down. So obviously, like, if he sees me going for duck unders, he starts to stand a little bit lower, right? He doesn't want me to. Like, it's pretty easy to defend if only thing I'm doing is duck under. So now I'm doing the snap down, and the snap down basically is I can do it from the existing biceps tie, or I can get extra pressure via switching. So I could do the snap down like clubbing his head and taking the head, right? What is the other possibility? So I can either come from biceps tie, or I do it with a hand that's already on the head. And the head, I usually say that wherever the head goes, that's the option I'm going to take. So there is the possibility if I'm trying to go for duck under, and he's kind of lowering, and I'm now doing the heavy snap down, both arms are working, and the head comes this way. But it also can happen that I'm doing the duck under, he goes lower, and I pull, and the head kind of comes this way. So either side is fine. So either side is fine, but you want to end up in a position that you know that I'm going to go for my duck unders, I'm going to grab the head, I'm going to wrap the head like a football. It shouldn't be good, I don't mean like the soccer things, but like the hand aid, right? It's not a football, it's a hand aid. So I'm grabbing it here, like a quarterback would, in like this position, right? You probably a lot of Americans here, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I know actually nothing about football. So one thing goes to grab the good grip is the chin strap, raise your head a little bit. So you grab the chin, that's a possibility, and you kind of take it into the armpit, like that. But not totally. You don't want to go actually here, straight away. You don't want to start to attack immediately, because you're actually, if your grip is not good, you're giving him the duck under, right? So snap down, grab the head, take it into the football position, and usually, obviously I can go for my front chokes if I have the game here, but most common is that you go for like the front headlock type position, and then before I do whatever kind of attack, maybe I am a guillotine guy, I'm kind of a front headlock guy, but actually I want to take him down first, and you just basically, you kind of sprawl on him and pull forward to kind of like start to run with him. And if you want, if you have like your go-to move from this position, you can follow up with this move if you want to. So if somebody is already moved at anaconda, you can quite well try to go for an anaconda. But ideally, I would want at least 3 points totally on the ground, 2 knees, 1 elbow, or both. So come up a little. So if he gets here, that's not a good place to attack an anaconda. So now I will kind of try to ragdoll him a little bit. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so constantly trying to keep him down. And also when I do lock some kind of this type of a grip, I want to continue. I'm not going to, I lost a wrestling match. I've competed in wrestling twice, so lost both times. I actually lost the match this way because I went to row when their hand was posted pretty well, and I ended up on bottom. Actually, I want to kind of move and totally go here. Yeah, his leg is there. I also kind of run it down, and now maybe go. But if it's not your game, you don't know your front headlock stuff, what you're gonna do is that you go for duck under, snap down, you run them down. If their legs are super close, you can kind of cheat your way into, like he's keeping his leg a little bit too close, if there's the possibility to go like, yeah, he puts it back, and have a pull. And now just move around their back. Keep this arm out the way, and move around the back. So don't stay here, either do like a front headlock move if you know any, if you don't know, go to back. And now you're gonna do both. So you take turns, you do maybe a few moves of easy pummeling, and then when it's my turn, I will either try to already start to feel which feels right. Maybe I pull, and I see him rise, and I go for duck under. But maybe you're like, pull, and he doesn't react. Then you pull for a snap down, right? So these two work together. So give it a try, slowly, calmly. Let's go. That's enough. Very nice. You're getting the hang of it. So that's going to be your main double attack. You're moving around, pushing and pulling, and then you try to, like usually you start to, I don't make my first effort as a full effort, unless I feel it's there, but that's when probably like they have to be a lesser grappler. So usually I try to kind of start to play with those two. I kind of start a little bit like pull, see how he reacts. If I like pull and he's kind of slow or doesn't rise up, then I do one hard pull, like as a third or second or fourth. Right, the same with duck under. I start to like and grab and move. Always keep moving when you have the superior position. Like do the and see how he reacts. If he reacts like weirdly, you do the duck under on the second or third or fourth go, right? And if he reacts by kind of trying to block you, then you start to go like and pull down, right? It's a sport. Like it's you can't say there's like a winning technique that always works, right? So it's about timing, especially as there is no like gravity enhanced control position. So that's why you need to take turns when doing like this easy pummeling. For people who haven't wrestled for ages, take turns, allowing both parties to have success. That's really important, that both parties have success, but you do it like realistically. There's no point in doing 100 reps like this that, okay, I do this, and now I do like, just grab that, and now I do like maybe 10 reps as a warm-up, or for the first time. But then I need to be like moving and kind of also telling him to slightly move, slightly pummel, react sometimes, sometimes not react. Yeah, and now we're going to take the third one. So it's your snap down game is going over, your duck under game is going under, and this is also how you attack the legs most of the time. Whereas you go for like the hips here, or you can also like move. You can do that proper penetration set and try to go for a double, single, whatever. You can add that. But the safest to practice is going for the waist. Because also in no-gi BJJ, to get the points, I don't need to put him on his back. That's too much of an effort often. But if I get to his back, I get here, and I don't have to put him on his back, so maybe I just kind of drag him down somehow. And this is 2 points, if we're talking no-gi BJJ. Okay. And in MMA, obviously, I can just start to knee him from the back and so forth and so on. So, going around the arms, that's the trickiest. Here, like the standard technique is the arm drag, which you like when I have my good control position, I don't usually go for it. Because my own elbow gets in the way. I'm already past that distance. So I usually do it either when he tries to kind of pummel, for example, he pummels inside biceps, the other way, inside biceps. I want to go inside biceps, but he doesn't allow me. So I might go, he doesn't keep your elbow in, so I can't go here, it's like too hard. So maybe I will go wrist, and now I will make his elbow go past my center line. That's the least you need. Because if I just pull, let's say, here is my center line, right? My elbow is a little bit more in than his. That's bad. That's okay. So, and I do the arm drag, which is grabbing the triceps. And if I just kind of pull into me, I'm going to give him down hook, right? And that's bad. I need to make the elbow go past at least my center line, and hopefully more. So, the standard arm drag. You have a wrist grip, either this way or this way. I personally prefer this. A lot of people prefer this, but this has a risk of him trying to pummel in, right? Because my elbow gets so easily put outside. But if he starts to go for that, I can grab his elbow, and now I personally think it's important to step between the legs first, if you want to be good at arm drags. Because if you step around, like you did with duck under, what's going to happen is that you're going to circle. And those who have done arm drags with resistance, you have felt that. So you kind of pull, and he starts to circle. And circle out, start to circle. You're trying to chase him, and eventually he's out. But if I go this, circle, right? So I lock down his hip, yes. Yeah. So what I do, I can also go think about, I have double necktie. I can't do much here. I can do the snap down of the double necktie. Keep that in mind. I didn't emphasize, but that's the single possibility. I can try to whoop, go here, but usually what will start to happen is that he doesn't let me. I pull, and he kind of, the head is here, and then maybe I take this, and now I'm pretty close, and I can go here. But let's say I'm here, I grab with wrist, either this way or this way, arm to the triceps, and now I pull past me, with a rotation. I pull past me, and I step forward with the leg in between these legs, and shift my hips. Yeah, like that. I shift my hips, and now I can already grab the hip. And now I win this scramble situation. I step here, and I get this. So I need somebody very bigger than you. Yeah, come. Yeah, you guys can come. So what will happen is that if I do it correctly, okay, you're on this side. Let's turn this way. So I do the arm drag, and even against a bigger guy, the thing is that if I don't get the waist with the bigger guy, they will always get their elbow back. He will just kind of start pull, and at best I get neutral back. But the thing is that if I do it correctly, in the sense that I attach myself here, my knee on the inside, and if I get hip now, is that now when they start to turn, they turn. Yeah. What I'll do is that I'll ride it. Like it's good, let's make it super illustrative. Is that what I'll do is that I basically kind of, you know like these carousels when you grab it and then you lift your legs up and you go round? So it's kind of like that. So I'm here, and if he starts to go, yeah. So that's why I need somebody really big. Thanks. So that's why you want to get close and you want to grab the hip as soon as possible. Okay? So let's try the arm drag for like a couple of minutes. I hope it's okay if we go like 5 minutes over. There's no extra activities. Try the arm drag. Take turns. Get some kind of control. Get the wrist. Do the arm drag and grab the hip. And time. We'll go ahead. But what I just want to illustrate now is that the arm drag is not the only way. It's like the standard technique of going around the arms, which I do when I'm forced into wrist control situation, and he's kind of giving me that. If I'm not forced to do that, I will play the snap down duck under game. But I need to think about it also at some other times when some weird grips happen. So often it's going to be like, later you're going to play like, he's going to take the biceps, inside biceps, right? And maybe I can't pummel the biceps. But what I can do, like that's the whole thing about the biceps guy, is that if he's lazy, I can also get pretty good control on the outside. But I need to push the elbow past my center line. Because it does, if you have like a strong arm here, like it does like nothing here, and if I kind of push it here, it's even closer, and that's actually super good time for him to go for an underhook. Take an underhook? Yeah. Right? But if I think about like, he has the biceps tie, and I think about kind of like pushing it across, when I have the necktie, because we both have one control, he needs to react to that. I'm not doing like any technique off here. Maybe I'll try like a foot sweep or something, and now maybe I can do the pummel. But I can also think about lifting or moving his elbow across my center line in some other ways or other places. So for example, also if I have the classic wrist grip here, or I'll take this side. I have the classic wrist grip here, but he somehow denies me the arm drag. Like let's say he has his head here, so I'm kind of, he doesn't allow me to do that, right? So what I just think about is that maybe I can push that a little, and I can move myself a little, and get into this odd position where I maybe can do a snap down, or maybe I can just go for the legs, or maybe I can try to go for the waist and see what happens. If he puts in an underhook, I can retreat to the biceps. So I can think about moving the elbow across the center. Making it go outside is always good. That opens up space. But if it's super inside, I can also think about like yanking it and then maybe moving myself so it's across my center line. So, for the final drill, and I think we're going to do it like 2 times 1.5 minutes, take turns with now playing with those 3 pressures or 3 techniques. You have your snap down. Don't finish now, but get his elbows and knees on the ground, or at least 3 points on the ground. So you have your snap down, you have your duck under, and you have your around things, which of the arm drag is the most prevalent and most standard. So you have 3 techniques now. Play with those 3 techniques. See what opportunities present themselves. Go as slow as needed, so you would recognize the opportunities. If you can go fast, but you need to have success. Ready, set, go. Looking good. You are wrestling. Like it looks like a good wrestling group. So a few things that I noticed is that, especially at first, when you're doing like the real technique, like you want to go for it. You saw that, okay, I'm doing my snap down, I'm feinting, he's not reacting, and now I want to do a real snap down. Then don't do it half-assed. Like it's with these movements, it's always, especially when slowly practicing, it makes sense to exaggerate. And it's kind of natural, it's late in the evening, you want to optimize, your body naturally wants to do the least possible, right? But think about exaggerating. So let's say I'm doing the duck under, that was one thing here, is that if we're doing light, I can get by, like I'm even doing everything correctly, right? Technically correct, but I'm doing like, doing the snap down, doing the snap down, doing the snap down. Now I go for the duck under, kind of like this, right? But really exaggerate that. So you're doing the snap down, so I really think about like ducking and going higher than needed, and then connecting harder than needed, and also throwing the arm over my head harder than needed. So I don't do like a bare minimum here, but I'm really thinking about like, so I'm better attached here, putting it in the back of my head, right? Same thing with arm drag. Like, right now, this works, and I did everything technically correctly. But think about the shoulder rotation, so you like rotate the shoulder. And the good thing with this drill is that you can go pretty hard, and it's still low impact, because you're not throwing anymore. Like you're not falling onto each other. So kind of these drags and steps, hip in, grab, you can go pretty hard. Of course you can go easy as well, but exaggerate the movements if you're going easy. So let's go like each like 5 goes. So 1 more minute. Any questions before that? Any questions? Any questions? No? Think about always avoid the underhooks from the wrists. Go to biceps and neck as soon as possible.
I have one question. What is your go-to if like you catch me in the arm drag and you kind of get all the way to the side, but I just kind of keep on blocking and circling? Like what would be your go-to like from here?
If I get it connected, if I do get the hip and the head connection, like either the side of the head, the ear, or the chin, I can like, if the opponent is my size, I can hold you in place and step around. So you're blocking, you think about blocking me with that leg, right?
Yeah, like I have my arm drill, I'm kind of just like blocking your leg.
Yeah. So let's circle. Yeah. So I go around, and if it's a big guy, then I just throw both of my legs back, and he pulls me into the correct position. Right? Did that answer your question? Yeah. Good. Anything else? Good question.
He uses his elbow to stop the arm drag.
Show me. Okay. I think you could try taking come here. I need to think about that. So I'm doing that and blocking the elbow. So maybe I would kind of also hang my weight off it to kind of do the. Yeah, like this is a possibility. The other thing is that if that fails, go for biceps slide, because I can like, I'm trying to do that, the elbow is here. Okay, put my biceps slide here, maybe I can try to duck on that. So do something else. Okay, so let's go for like 1 or 2 goes each. More, let's say 5 each. Okay, let's go. And time. So, very, very nice. My recommendation would be doing this drill like when it's open mat. Do like 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 3. Like, just do a little bit for warm up. It's a very good warm up drill. It's sport specific. At the same time, it's very low injury risk, right? So thanks for preferring me to the pop crawl, or for those of you who at least the first part of pop crawl. I'm going to teach wrestling from the guard tomorrow, and actually the same grips and that type of grip fighting applies to when your opponent is kneeling, kind of when we're on the same level. So then also I will, like the duck under is the least, but I can disengage from the guard and do the snap down, or I can do the arm drags, but kind of the philosophy of keeping my elbows in and framing away works from butterfly guard when the opponent is kneeling. But I'm not going to teach that tomorrow, just play with that. I'm going to teach tomorrow against how to wrestle against the standing opponent from the guard. I also have a sports psychology lecture tomorrow, so you're welcome to join that as well. And I plan to get, how many of you are locals? So if somebody can give me advice on where to get actual food at like 9:15 still, so I want to grab some food, and I know Florian is coming probably, and so whoever wants to join me before I catch the last leg of the pop tour, you're welcome to do so. I just grab a shower and then go off to get some food. So locals, please advise me on where to go. Thanks for participating, and I'm going to see you around, ask for a roll, etc.